Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Namaste. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, good night, or good morning to all of you. We are so pleased to have people in this meeting from all parts of the world in different time zones. I am Shakira Mohammed from Trinidad and Tobago, teacher for the past 15 years. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the 222nd edition of our ICC Thought Leaders Forum. We wish to sincerely thank all of you who have contributed in whatever way to the success of this ongoing Pan-Indo-Caribbean and Pan-India Diaspora Global Project. For 221 unbroken continuous weeks, we have been here every single Sunday. And in the past 4 years, 3 months and 2 weeks, we have featured 1,025 presenters from all parts of the world speaking on 221 topics. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a weekly forum being hosted by the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center, a legally registered research and publishing company operating since 2010. And today we are pleased to be supported by Brenda Gopi Singh, a business entrepreneur and a founding member of the Hindu Women's Organization Trinidad and Tobago. And I think she's here in our meeting, so welcome, Brenda. In order to continue this weekly program and to make it bigger and better, we are asking for suggestions as well as volunteers. If you give a donation, your name will be placed on our poster and all promotional materials, so you can contact Dr. Kumar Mahavir for details. We wish to extend our condolences to the family and friends of Devki Nanan Sharma of Trinidad, who was one of the founders of NCIC and the first president of the Diwali Nagar in Trinidad. He was 85 years old and was ailing for some time. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll introduce our moderator today, who is Shalma Mohammed, the co-director of this ICC Zoom platform, who is a business teacher and researcher from Trinidad and Tobago. She obtained her master's degree in business psychology from Franklin University in the USA. Shalma, welcome.
Thank you so much, Shakir. Assalamu alaikum, namaste, and a warm welcome to all of you. Thanks so much for choosing to be here with us. Again, our condolences go out to the friends and family of Mr. Devki Nanan Sharma. He was very important in the landscape in Trinidad and Tobago, and we're very sad to lose him. Ladies and gentlemen, this program is being recorded on Zoom and live streamed on the YouTube channel of the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center. Welcome to all of you on YouTube at this time. To avoid intrusions from trolls, our IT manager has muted everyone. Speakers, please do not admit anyone, do not unmute anyone, and do not allow anyone to share your screen. Thanks so much for cooperating. Today, we are talking about sports heroes in the Indian diaspora. Interviewing sports heroes and sports commentators has great significance, as it provides insight into the dedication, perseverance, and mindset required to achieve excellence. These conversations can inspire and motivate audiences by showcasing personal stories of overcoming adversity, setting goals, and maintaining discipline. These interviews help preserve and share valuable experiences and lessons learned, contributing to the broader appreciation and understanding of sports culture and its impact on society. The stories which will be shared today can motivate the younger generation in the Indian diaspora and foster a sense of pride and connection to their heritage, while also broadening the global narrative of Indian success in various fields, including sports. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear from our first speaker. And this is Sheila Sibalak of Mauritius. It's very late there, and we thank you so much, Sheila, for being here with us live at this time. Sheila represented her country in the Seoul Olympics in the 800 meters and in the Commonwealth Games in both the 800 meters and the 4x400 meters relay. She's also a bronze medalist in the African Championships. Welcome, Sheila. Please go ahead. Can you unmute?
Thank you very much for allowing me and giving me the opportunity to talk here today. It's true, as you said, I'm an 800-meter athletics runner. But before I start, I would like just to give a brief idea of my background and where I come from, which is my country, Mauritius. Mauritius, which is quite far away from here, from where Trinidad, it is about 8 hours forward. So here we are nearing midnight. and we are also in the southern hemisphere, so we are getting, it is quite cold and about 15 degrees here. So today, this is my country is Mauritius, which is, oops, I think I'm still having some small issues with my screen. Sorry. Share screen. Okay. I'm sorry. Just give me allow to share screen. And here it goes. Sorry for all this, because I'm still trying to understand how it works.
It's okay.
Here
We understand your expertise is in athletics.
Okay. So, okay, yeah, so here it goes. Yeah, yes. I come from Mauritius. It is a very tiny dot in the Indian Ocean, and we have 2,000 square meters area. It is very, very tiny. That most of the time it is not seen on the world map. We lie about 2,000 kilometers east of Africa and some 5,000 kilometers from India. It is a welfare state where education and healthcare is free, transport is free for the elderly and students. And as you say, we take part in the African Championship, so we are part of the African continent and the African Union. So we have a population about 1.3 million people, of which nearly 48%, as in 2024, are of Hindu faith, which is the majority of the faith. 32% are Christian, and 18% follow the Islamic faith. We got our independence from the British on the 12th March 1968, and since 1992 we are a republic within the Commonwealth. The official language is English, and all administration and schooling follows the English system. But Mauritius being very special, we have been French under so many years, so before the English. So we speak French and Creole in everyday life, though we follow the English system. And Bhojpuri is also widely spoken in various rural areas. As I said before, I am 60 years old this year, very old. I was born and raised in Mauritius. I am the 5th generation of Indian descent who came to work in the sugarcane fields here after the abolition of slavery in 1835 on the island. And I also applied for OCI passport, which is the Overseas Citizen of India. Why I did it, was a way for me to acknowledge my ancestors, which I'm proud of, and who left their country looking for a better life here in Mauritius. It sure was not an easy life as indentured laborers, but I am happy they did so, and I think, in my opinion, I have a much better life here. And I'm happy and honored to have been able to have been given the opportunity of having this passport, which links me to my ancestors in India. Well, but even though I am linked to India, I am also, however, very Mauritian by birth and by heart. And Mauritius being my motherland, I have proudly represented my country in athletics, namely 800 meters, in the Seoul Olympics that we get an experience of one in a lifetime experience going to the Olympics, and I was happy to have been able to experience it in 1998, where my greatest memory lies when in the 100 meters there were Ben Johnson and Carl Lewis running the 100 meters, and Ben Johnson got the 100 meter, won the 100 meters, but was later disqualified for doping. And this was something that I've experienced live, and it stays live in my mind. I have also participated in 3 Commonwealth Games. The first one was in Edinburgh. All the Mauritian delegation went to Scotland, but unfortunately there, all the African athletes were protesting against a South African athlete, which was under apartheid then, Zola Bird, who was running for England. So we ended up Mauritius and all the African countries pulling out, and we had to take our flight back to Mauritius, which was very disappointing without even participating in these games. But fortunately for me, 4 years later, I got to participate in Auckland, New Zealand, and this was one of my greatest experience. And later again, 4 years forward, I participated in Victoria in Canada, and this has a special experience for me because it was my last competition at international level, because 1 week before I got married, and my it was the end of my scholarship, and I was going back to Mauritius. I have also participated in African games, free African games, in Indian Ocean games, in various international meetings in Europe, in various international meetings in Asia, various national championship in France. This is because our government gives us the opportunity, because we are in a small island in the Indian Ocean. So we do not have a large competition with international athletes. So we have always to go either in Europe, either in Asia, or in Africa to be able to compete with high-level athletes. So what I would like to say is being able to participate and achieve all this, all this is, for me, in my opinion, a combination of three main things. It was first, overall, my parents who have always encouraged me, my parents who have always been there for me, and this is important in a kid's life, in my opinion. And especially my mom, she was always there saying, what will you eat before your race? What are you going to do? When will you eat? And it was also, and second main, if it is hard work, passion, dedication, disciplines, sure. But one thing that we most of the time forget in the life of an athlete is the dedicated coach. And I was lucky to have two dedicated coach in my country, one in my country and one in France. And these coaches, we should remember that they, pardon, most of the time they coach athletes and they are not paid for it. They do it on a voluntary scheme. They come, they give their time, they give their money, and all they have is having you be able to surpass yourself, being able to get results. That's all they expect of you. And I have been able to experience this coaching mentality from my dad, who was a football coach for the Hindu Cadets, which was the first division football team. And as we are a majority of Hindu here, it was a very popular team, and my dad was quite known. And he gave me this fighting spirit to go beyond my capacities. And his motto was, if you have to do something, do your best at it, or you do not do it at all. And this motto has accompanied me throughout my life and has helped me a lot. And as for everybody, we all have this one great opportunity once in our life that helps us take a big leap forward. And for me, it was during the Indian Ocean Island Games in 1985. And this was being hosted for the first time in my country. And the whole island was here behind me. People were queuing up to have tickets to come and see. It was like the Olympics for the Indian Ocean. And people were so keen, were saying, well, you are the one running. And I told myself that I had to do something. I couldn't deceive them. And I can still see my dad on the finish line of my first race, 800 meters. Each time I talk about it, I still get a bit emotional, sorry. And my dad was here. He was waiting for me, and the first thing he said, "Oops, I think I stopped the stopwatch beforehand. You can see it on the picture here. And it was, I think I stopped it before because I've got a great time here. And in fact, he didn't stop it. I indeed exploded the competition record. And nearly 40 years later, I still have the games record here in the Indian Ocean Island Games. And the best memory also is that the end of the games was also the relay just before the closing ceremony, and we had 4 girls running the 4x400 meters, and we were the golden girls. We finished with the gold medal, and this was a great experience, which as up to today still stay in my mind, and I still get emotional about it. And as I say, this achievement is and was the start of my career, because from there I got 2 sports scholarships, one in the USA and one in France. And the USA was for Fairleigh Dickinson University in New Jersey, but unfortunately was a part-time scholarship, whereas France was giving me a full-time scholarship. And as I said before, we speak both English and French. So I chose France, and I integrated there the Racing Club de France, which was one of the great club in France, and which enabled me to participate in France Elite Championship from 1986 and to 1994. And this championship and being able to run into international events enabled me to get a bronze medals in 800 meters and in the 4x400 meters in the African Games. And I also did I also did the record of immersion, which is 35 years later, both in the 4x400 meters and both in the 800 meters, still is as at date, I still hold this record. But as you all know, as many people here who've done sports, you know that high-level sports is great, but it is not an end into itself. So while I had the opportunity to go and train in France, I also took the opportunity to study. And there I graduated in sports and communication. And when I came back to France, I studied while I was working and got a BA in communication science from South Africa. And while training and studying, what my dad has taught me about discipline and being able to focus on what you want to achieve has helped me a lot to be able to go through it and achieve and get my diplomas and get my BA in communication. And as I said, after the Commonwealth Games, I came back to Mauritius and started working. I started working on the national TV and radio station as a news editor in the sports section. I stayed there 3 years and then went on to work in the hospitality industry as a recreation manager with Sun International. There also I stayed 3 years and went on into corporate communication as communication manager in one of the leading groups of the island here in Mauritius. I was also a part-time lecturer at Vatel Hotel School. And at the end of my career, I was nominated as Chief Executive Officer for Trust Fund for Excellence in Sports by the Ministry of Youth and Sports. So all this, I can say, my opinion is that you cannot go through a whole career without meeting challenges. You are faced with various style challenges. When I came to Mauritius and worked as a sport journalist in the television and radio and television in Mauritius, I was the first woman to work as a sports journalist on the TV, because up till then the sports journalism was a man's world, and I came here and was given the opportunity to work with all the men here And I can tell you it was a very challenging, because you have each time to prove yourself that you can do the work, because women have to each time prove that they are better, unfortunately, to be able to do the job. And also for me it was personal challenge, because when I started to do sports journalism, sports being done mostly in the evening and during weekends, so I could no longer continue with high level sports, so I had to keep my training, and I chose to continue with my career as sports journalism, and I stopped high level then. And I did sports journalism for 3 years, and was then given a better salary in the hospital industry. So I quit the sports journalism and went into the hospitality industry. And as you all know, this is very long hours. And being on the management team, you work from 8 in the morning until 6 at night. It's true. And then you have sometimes, this was my case, doing a duty manager in the hotel, and it will lasted up till midnight. And the next day you are in the management meeting at 8 in the morning to report what on your duty manager. So it was quite a tough life for me. And I was also I had also given birth to a little girl who was then 2 years after my 3 years in the hospitality industry. I wanted to give my family a better chance. So I was given an opportunity in corporate communication, where I could work office hours and not work on weekend. And this enabled me to manage my career and family life. But it was, being a woman, being in the sports is not only personal challenges and personal choices. I have also to face challenges as a woman. So I had to fight certain prejudices. So in sports awards, for example, my male counterparts had twice the amount than I had, but this was because it is sports being a male dominated area, so most of the time it was like that at my time. And I'm happy to see that throughout the years it has changed, and women are considered better now, even in sports. Women are constantly challenged. It was my experience in the sports world, my experience in the work environment. And in my latest, when I was nominated as the Chief Executive Officer for Trust Fund in Excellence for Sports, it was also the greatest challenge of my life, because I came after a man who not only had done well in sport, who also was a minister of sports. So as a woman, I had to do twice as much as what was needed to be able to show that I was capable to do the work. But I was happy to do it, because this job helped me to achieve what I've always wanted to do, which was to be able to help young athletes in their career. Because most of the time when you are young, you only think about your sports life. You do not think about after sports. You are given a financial assistance, you are help, as long as you are a sports high level athlete. But then suddenly you get an injury and you are no longer on the high level. So what happens next? And most people don't think of that. When you are young and you are successful, you don't think of that. So my aim was to be able to give these young athletes the opportunity at least to finish higher school education, and those who could go beyond it has a university degree. And I am happy to say that I have been able to help quite a lot to achieve this, pay for them, assist them, and make them aware of the importance of having something after their sports career. And this month, I went to the Paris Olympics. I was um, lucky enough to be able to go there and assist at the Paris Olympics this month. And I had the opportunity to meet other Olympians at the Olympian House. And I met again all people that I have met in the Commonwealth Games, in international competitions, in African competition, and we were able to share and talk about what we all face as challenges, because most of them, like myself, were no longer competing, but were into sports at various levels in their countries. And we were able to discuss and talk about the many issues in sports, what they were doing, what they had done, and how we could help each other and be able to move forward in our country. It is true that moving forward and doing things the right way and be able to help many more athletes is one step at a time. It's a progress, but it is a one step at a time. It's slow. We are doing it. And I am happy to notice also that there are many youngsters who have this willingness to fight for our sports and are doing great job in management job, in doing in federation at the ministries level. And I am so happy to see that things are moving forward and things are getting done. And what I have to say is that sports has given me the opportunity to be where I am today. I have been able to travel throughout the world. I have been able to meet great people. I have been able to have loads of experiences, loads events, being able to do things, meet people that I wouldn't have been able to do had I not done sports in my life. And as of today, I'm still honored and surprised to see that some people still recognize me in my country after all these years. They still remember the Indian Ocean Games. They still remember something where we were young and we were able to see you on the TV. Some are older than I am here and saw me on TV. And I'm always happy to hear that, and I'm always honored to hear it. And as at today, I'm still happy to help when my help is needed. I still try to contribute to my maximum what I can do to the progress of sports in my country. And as 2024 is my 60th year, I also have decided that to take more time to enjoy life while still training. I still train at the high level sports center in my country, though sure not to do competition, but to keep fit. And I also train and do trail running in nature. So sports is in my blood, and it will always be so. And thank you again for giving me this opportunity to talk about my life and what I have experienced as an athlete. Thank you very much.
Sheila, it's been a pleasure listening to you, and I want to say congratulations to you on all your accomplishments. I mean, to this day, you are still the record holder in the Indian Ocean Games, and you're also the first female journalist, sport journalist in your country. Those are quite significant achievements, and we are really honored to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Terrific. So we have Rehana Lal Mohammed with her hand up. She has a question for you, I believe. Rehana, can you unmute, please?
Hi,
Yes.
Sheila.
Hi.
Thanks for your story. I was really, what I want to know is how did you celebrate it when you got your first medal? How did you celebrate with your family?
Sure. I celebrate with my family. What was the small anecdote I have to say is that my poo, I had two poo-poos who were he was there looking for me running, and there were people, and there was a man selling, selling peanuts, and she said, okay, I buy all your peanuts and give it to the stadium. She was so happy that I won the 800 meters, and she was giving peanuts to everybody. Okay, give everybody, this is my niece who has won. And yes, it was great. I celebrated with my family because they were the one that helped me achieve this. I celebrated with my friends and especially with my coach also, and it was a great time.
Wonderful. Thank you. We have
You're welcome.
Dr. Mohammed Keshavji with a question for you. Go ahead, please. MK, you want to unmute? MK, you're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Sheila, lovely to hear from you. I come from Africa myself.
Ah,
And I was
great.
born in South Africa and I lived in Kenya. Your career is very unusual because Indian girls in Africa all went for becoming doctors and lawyers. Not many would go for, high altitude running and competing in the Olympics. So you are very unusual from Olympics to do what you've done, from Mauritius to do what you did. Now, did you experience any pushback from the rest of the community? I know your parents were with you. Were you unusual for an Indian girl to do what you did?
Yes, at that time we didn't have many Indian women running in athletics and doing sports. Though now we have Muslim girls, Indian girls, much more now. But at my times, which is nearly 40 years back, it was we did have some, but not many, because as you said, Indian girls, they were pushed to do academic. You're not pushed to do sports. You're pushed to become doctors and lawyers, as you say. But for me, my dad being in the sports world, he was a football coach, so he was already known, and I was already known as his daughter because I was a Hindu. So the Hindu community knew me, and I was popular. And my first great thing I told him, one day you will be known as my dad instead of the other way around. And I think, and I achieved it, because he came back one day and tell me, you know what he told me? Is the girl running your daughter? And I said, yes. Oh, you are Sheila's dad. And this is the day. So, okay, now we are on the same level. It was something, yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah, indeed. So Shira Kogi, who is also from South Africa, she asked, at which university did you study in South Africa?
I'm from UNISA, because it was done online. From Mauritius, we have an educational hub, and there are people from here that have that do from South Africa. We have different universities here. We have universities from France, from Australia, from South Africa, from England. So there is like a cooperation here and a sports hub, so which allows us to stay in Mauritius and be able to be with our families and still be able to have a degree from any of the universities abroad without exception. There are people coming from this university to Mauritius to check to see that the standards are kept. So I was able to beneficiate from it, and my workspace paid for for the studies.
Excellent, thank you. And final question, I'm not seeing any other raised hands, but I was curious, how has being an OCI impacted your life?
Oh, for the time being, not much, because as I said, I wanted just to have this connection with my ancestors, and I'm really happy that they did come to Mauritius, where I think I've got a great life, and it changed my life here. And what I'm thinking about going to India. I have gone to India many times, but before the OCI cards. and also my sister also goes there frequently. We go there for she's going there for treatments and everything. And I think in my old age that will help you, because it will help me, because India having great medical facilities, and we have great specialists coming to Mauritius, and also many people being sent to India for treatment. So this OCI card will be a great help to me in my old days.
Wonderful.
Also, India is a very beautiful country. I've been there. I've been to Trivandrum, to Bombay, to Delhi, to Shimla. So I love this country. It is very beautiful.
Wonderful. So again, it was our pleasure to have you, and I want to thank you very much for staying awake at such a very late hour to share your story with us. It's been an honor.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to move on now to our second speaker, and this is Bhagat Mahavir of Trinidad. He's a former sportsman in the fields of cricket, football, volleyball, and table tennis. He's the former director of Cricket West Indies and the former executive member of the Trinidad and Tobago Cricket Board. Because he is traveling overseas, we were not certain he would have been here with us live. Thankfully, he is, but we did a pre-recording to show at this time. Shakira or Dr. Mahavir, can we please have that video, and then perhaps we can take...
Well, I was born in 1957. When I grew up in a small village of Clark Road in Penal, cricket was the mainstay of sporting, main participatory sport for Indians in that area. It was largely an Indian district with one or two Negroes dotting the landscape. But cricket was the main entertainment for people, largely the adult people, who would look to any piece of land that they could clear and play cricket. And that brought the community together in large numbers. At that time, I suppose the East Indian population, cricket would have come from, their involvement in cricket would have come from our roots in India, because Indianship only ended in 1917. So that was 40 years prior to my being born. And there would have been a very strong Indian influence. So cricket was very strong. Running was very strong, because you had people like Mani Duki and so on, who were involved in long distance running, and that came from the mode of transport, I suppose, in how people moved about. And then the wrestling was, as you mentioned earlier, wrestling was also very popular in the early days among the East Indians, and I suppose that too was brought with our forefathers from India. So in the village, when I grew up, cricket was the main sport. We dabbled with football, but we were more running down behind a ball and kicking it more than any organized sport. And volleyball was a little bit organized, but cricket was by far the main sport in villages. And every village had their own cricket team and their own heroes and their own little piece of land where they played. And the community on weekends gravitated towards cricket. So that inspired young fellas like me to want to get involved in cricket.
But was there anybody, including yourself, that you know who was aspiring to play the national team?
Our earliest in Clark Road in Penal was a guy called Krishnalal Samaru. They used to call him Big Indian. And in the 1960s, he played for Oxford, which was a big thing in those days, because you had to journey from Penal all the way to San Fernando. Oxford was based in San Fernando. And he played for Oxford and went on to play for South Trinidad. And that was a huge thing for us little fellas, because cricket was a very urban administered and urban sport in terms of recognition. The country boys had very little recognition. I suppose because of facilities, because of the difficulty in getting transport, because of the difficulty in accessing the money to buy proper gear. But for whatever reason, he was the first one from that area to bridge the gap. But when I checked early on, as early as 1922, and the name A. Hamid, who I am assuming is Indo-Trinidadian, represented Trinidad and Tobago as early as that. And then there was a family from Samoa, the Razak family, who also played for Trinidad as early as the 1920s and 1930s, even prior to Sonny Ramadan. So we would have felt that cricket was a way for us to get some kind of recognition and for us to move forward as a little community. So cricket was a vehicle for moving our community, and lots of communities like ours all over, especially the Southland, Barco, Kunjal, all over the Southland. Cedros had good cricket teams. People use cricket as the means to move their communities forward.
Right. But during your time growing up, you would have looked at these matches. I don't know if they were probably on TV, but radio certainly, and you would have admired certain cricketers. Who were those growing up on the national team?
On the national team, it was mixed. You looked up to, in my very early days, you remember the names of Carew and Davis and so on, dominating the landscape. That element, and you felt that they were like untouchable. And then you found that people started to creep in, like the Inshanalis and the Rafik Jumadins, and they sort of broadened the scope of making the national team a truly representative national team. As for my research, Sonny Ramadan in the 50s was the first East Indian to play cricket for the West Indies. So you looked up to Sonny, you looked up to Rohan Kanai. Rohan Kanai, although of Guyanese descent, was the biggest name in cricket in the Caribbean as far as Indo-Caribbean people were concerned. You know, Ramadan had drifted off for people like me because he had gone to live in England in the 1950s and made his home there. So for us, Rohan Kanai was the epitome of what you wanted to be as a cricketer.
Did you meet any of these guys, Sonny Ramadan and Kanhai? Did you ever meet them?
Yes, I met Sonny. He came back to Trinidad some years and brought a team out of England, and he played a match down in the Penal area. So I met him at that game. I've had the pleasure of spending quite a bit of time with Rohan Kanai, chatting, talking about cricket over the years. He now lives in England, but he was always living in England, but he came back to the Caribbean regularly. I think I met him for the first time somewhere about 1995. I'd gone to India to see a test match, and he was the coach of the West Indies cricket team. So yes, I have had the privilege of spending some time with Rohan and with Alvin Kalicharan and some of these guys.
So what would you say would be the special skills of these, or the special talent of these guys in cricket? Sonny.
For them to have broken into a West Indies team in that era, in that just outside the colonial time, or should I say still colonial, because it was only 62 we got independence, they would have had to be very, very special cricketers, because we know that there was a whole class barrier towards people making the West Indies team. And for Sonny Ramadan to come out of Bajitola, because that is how Esperance was called at the time, and the name alone tells you a story. And to go on to make a West Indies team, Nairan Asgarali to go on to make a West Indies team, Rohan to go on to make a West Indies team, Joe Solomon. I mean, these fellas would have had to be so fantastically talented because they were breaking down barriers. They were kicking in doors. You know, they were making it possible for today's, for the Sunil Narayans and the Nicholas Purans and people of today. They made it possible.
And talking to them, and from your own observation, did you get any sense that there was discrimination and marginalization of Indians to get into the national and the West Indian team in talking to them, and from your own observation?
I can't say that Rohan insinuated that or Sonny insinuated that in my conversation. Sonny, I would have been too even juvenile. I would have been so agog just to meet Sonny Ramadan that I'm sure I didn't ask him those questions. But with Rohan, I spent a lot more time, and I was able to, I'm sure that we had those conversations. But if I take the liberty, the longest conversations I've had about possible discrimination would have been with Alvin Kalicharan.
And what did he say?
And yes, Alvin, they were never very, very comfortable. They never felt that their they were cemented on a West Indies team. They always felt that they had to go the extra mile to prove themselves in the West Indies team. I got a sense from Canaido that his friendship with Sobers and Sobers lighting up the world made it a little bit easier for him around, in that era. But I had more discussions with Alvin because I spent a lot more time with him, and he was a little bit more open. I got to know him better too, you see, socially and so on. And he would open up a lot more. I think Rowan and them would still be guarded by the history of the game and but as the fellas got younger, they were more open. They learned more about what is going on, and they were able to. I think they wanted to express themselves a little bit more. So I got the impression from him that they never felt comfortable.
Right. So, and what advice would you give to Indo-Trinidadian cricketers to aspire to be on the national team? I mean, if we look at the demographics of Trinidad, half of the national team should be Indo-Trinidadians. I mean, representing the demographics and for more Indo-Trinidadians and Indo-Guyanese to be on the West Indian team. What advice would you give?
There's nothing preventing them now there's absolutely nothing preventing them now from being. If you're skillful enough, you are fit enough, you are strong enough. Cricket has become a game of far more physical than when I played. When I played, we could have trained for an hour and an afternoon and go and play cricket. It's no longer that way. The game is fast-paced. The game requires a lot more strength. So I saw the transition from when Indo-Trinidadians played cricket and they couldn't make the grade. You would notice, and you say you're not a great cricket fan, but Indo-Caribbean people hardly made it into the county circuit in India, in England in the 50s and 60s and 70s. It wasn't because of skill. It was because they were playing cricket there every day. And these fellas were physically weaker and unable to pick up the challenges of playing cricket day in, day out. Right? And I call another name, though, I think that helped to transition. Ravi Rampal, when he came on the scene as an East Indian fast bowler, which is something that we were not accustomed to in the Caribbean. Ravi broke that mold to become a Indian fast bowler, and he suffered early on in his career from fitness issues. And if Ravi Rampal would have been on the scene today as a young man, he would have had to train a lot harder and become a lot fitter and change diet and to make it into our West Indies team. Just to give you a little story to embellish this, I was in India, I think it was 1995, and Jagaval Srinath, I think his name was, an Indian fast bowler, came up to Michael Holden, who was with me, and was talking to Michael Holden about how he could bowl so fast, and the conversation shifted to diet, and Jagaval Srinath was a vegetarian, and Mikey Holden told him flat out, well, I can't see you going very far in this fast bowling business or something to that effect, So diet. Remember in those days, coming through the 50s, we barely had money to put food on the table. So when you're talking about a Indian sportsman, never mind cricket, because we hardly made it in football. Bobby Sukram was one of the few, and the Sadafal boys. You hardly have money to put food on the table, so you are going to eat no balanced diet, right? So that was a bugbear. Transportation was a bugbear. Rural living was a bugbear. Economics was a bugbear, because to buy a pair of pads and to get your whole kit. So all those things mitigated against the East Indian sportsmen and if we stick in a cricket, the East Indian cricketers making it up. But in my time, when I played, and I played actively at a fairly decent level from about 1970 to about 2000, I didn't really feel discrimination in cricket. It was more a class structure than a race inhibition in Trinidad. It wasn't race so much that it was class.
Good. So in your time, or most of your lifetime, you'd be involved in Test cricket. Now there's this new culture of the T20. Can you compare and contrast the two genres, if we may say?
Yeah, well, there are three genres, if you may say, but
Okay.
when we grew up, it was red ball cricket. in white clothes, which I find up to this day magical, absolutely magical. When we heard this sound, again, because we talk on the history, come back on 1 o'clock on the Indian village, like Clark Road, and you hear Moeen come on at that 1 o'clock. When that lead theme music started, you know the time for cricket to start. And every household would have their radio on at that 1 o'clock because Indian music came to you in little pockets during the day.
Right.
And when at 1 o'clock on a Sunday, you know that cricket was going to start. And you would see, well, people didn't have doors and burglar proof. So you would see people just coming out of their houses and gravitating to this little play field in the village and a whole new entertainment. So I have this magical feeling of hearing a ball on Willow on a Sunday with white clothes. But I am a reluctant convert to the modern game where entertainment rules. I still love Test cricket, but the way for the future is not in our part of the world is about T20 cricket, the shorter forms, because sport, as the late Anthony Harford always told me, he said, you're too much in love with these games. Cricket is entertainment, it's part of the entertainment industry. Right. And it is clearly so. So T20 is the way for the future, but old people like us, the older genre will say that we believe in Test cricket. But I fully accept T20 cricket for what it is.
Okay, great. Now there's also a difference too. We had the Test cricket and the T20, and you say there's a third genre.
50 over. Yeah,
what's
50 over. 50 over. The game is 50 overs.
Oh, right, 50 over. Nice. There's also day cricket and night cricket. So tell me your take on the day cricket and night cricket.
Again, the world evolves. Because when cricket was played initially, people were hardly working. You had plenty time to do nothing. So you could have played cricket over extended periods. The world as it is now, it's completely different. You don't have time to go to 5 days of cricket. You have much more time to play cricket or to see cricket at night. And most of our entertainment now, except for Trinidad and the crime situation, would be night entertainment. So it's a natural fit. And then global warming and the heat. This year, the Trinidad and Tobago Cricket Board insisted that we played 100 overs a day. And Mr. Marby, I could tell you, Mr. Marby, that by the end of 100 overs, not only were the cricketers completely flat, but so too were the umpires. So given global warming and the heating and those challenges, it is extremely difficult to play long matches over extended periods in heat like that.
So what are the advantages and disadvantages of the night cricket?
One is it is cooler. Two, it is better for the spectator.
Right.
It creates more entertainment at a time when there's less traffic to get to and from matches. So there are a number of things that makes it easier. Let me just make a parallel. So why don't they have Indian concerts or rock concerts during the day? Is entertainment.
Yeah.
It is entertainment. So we have to fit where we could fit. We played Test cricket over 6 to 8 hours because nobody had lights 30, 40 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have visited India, I'm sure, certainly, many times. Compare the culture of cricket in India with the culture of cricket in Trinidad and Guyana and the Caribbean.
Cricket in India is strange enough. When I went the first time, I think it was 1995, to see a Test match, I wasn't surprised. What I was surprised at was the shabby state of the stands, the infrastructure as a whole. That shocked me. Although I read Nightfall, I had gotten a short notice to go to India, so I tried to read 2 or 3 or 4 books quickly to prepare myself, and it was a culture shock. But the culture of cricket was anywhere you go, the people were playing cricket. We went into a pub or a rum shop. It was cricket. Cricket was generally a way of life. And even at that time, anyway, I went to India, and to be recognized, they had to associate the names Lara and Sobas, and were more more well known than anything else, and people didn't even know that there were Indians in the Caribbean. But the cricket, to come back to the cricket is a cult, and it's still very much so. I went back about 3 or 4 times since, every single time cricket related. And when we got into the Champions League in 2009, 2010, 2012, we were heroes. We had gone from Trinidad and Tobago. We couldn't wear our Trinidad and Tobago branded jerseys, and by then India had malls and so on. The infrastructure had changed dramatically, and we were told not to wear our Trinidad and Tobago branded uniforms to the malls and so on, just for a safety factor. You know, I had some interesting experiences. You know, I look a lot like them, and I had challenges at going to see cricket and people talking to me in Hindi. And I remember one time.
And then your name.
Yeah. No,
Balak Mahavir, yes.
Yes. I went to this match in Mumbai with newspapers in my hand to read, which was a traditional thing in the Caribbean. So when I went there, everybody kept borrowing the papers. This is on a VIP stand, mind you, right? They kept borrowing the papers. And I want to know about what. And then somebody explained to me that you're not allowed to bring newspapers to cricket in India. I said, so why? This is because they use them to start fires in the stand.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I had challenges in customs and so on until I spoke, and then I realized that. But yes, so and Trinidad in the 60s and 70s, and cricket was alive and well, and even up to the first test match I saw in Trinidad in 1971, I think it was, when Ajit Wadekar brought a team to the Caribbean. I went to the Oval, I'll be honest, to support India. Sunil Gavaskar made a double 100 and 100 in that game. That was my introduction to Test cricket. I would also say that if I didn't go to support India, I would have ended up supporting India, because we were sitting down in the cheapest seats, and you were being abused, thinking that you're definitely here to support, you know, but you're from Penal, you're in Queen's Park Oval, so you're not telling anybody anything at all, you know.
Right.
You know, so, and Guyana, the cricket is still alive and well, stronger than Trinidad.
Okay. Right. So there's a big disparity, gender disparity between the men's cricket and the women's cricket. What are your comments? I mean, women's cricket.
Women's cricket in West Indies is an evolving phenomenon. It's a very recent phenomenon.
Okay.
So I think they're doing well. I think the Indo girls doing very well in Trinidad and in Guyana. Though, you know, there's not much representation outside of that in the region. But either evolving sport, is a growing sport. So I think they're doing well. The Anisa Mohammed, and now we have Karishma Ramarak, and we have a little girl called Samara Ramnath. They are all doing well. So I think the women's cricket, the girls took it pretty well, and you know, so they will emerge, just as Wimbledon took how many centuries for tennis players to get the same pay and so on. So I think we need to encourage participation.
What do you think governments in Trinidad and Guyana, Jamaica, and so on should do to really propel cricket to a level that is will be more respected and recognized and facilitated?
That is a double-edged sword. Firstly, Caribbean cricket is on the decline, and I say so without reservations. I served at Trinidad level. I saw the formation of the Trinidad and Tobago Cricket Board, just to give you that. Up to 1980, cricket in Trinidad was run by Queen's Park Cricket Club. They had all the administrative rights. In 1980, after a 3-year struggle, people like Aloy Likwai and Toloy Jagannath and those guys had fought 3 years, and then Dr. Eric Williams put something called the Rees Commission to look at the administration of cricket in Trinidad and Tobago, and the Rees Commission recommended that we form a national association. So Queen's Park, that right that Queen's Park had to run cricket and pick teams, etc., etc., and therein lies the measure of discrimination prior to 1980. The teams were picked by Queen's Park, or Queen's Park influenced administrators. 1980 is when it all changed, and the Trinidad and Tobago Cricket Board of Control was born. Thanks to the work of the people who I call, especially Aloy Likwai, Baldwin, Mutu, people like that. And that is when cricket became a national sport in Trinidad and Tobago. And that is why I can safely say today, 44 years later, there's no discrimination in selection of people for cricket teams in Trinidad and Tobago. But prior to that, the administration was resided in one club. That 44 years have seen cricket rise to a fantastic level and has seen it now go into decline. It is in decline badly because of the leadership, the quality of leadership that we face. And what is happening, the younger kids now are finding something else to do besides play cricket.
So for our international audience, what are the fundamental differences between this Queen's Park Cricket Club and the other component that you mentioned, the other group?
Queen's Park Cricket Club was a private entity in whom the West Indies Cricket Board, and I forgot we have an international audience there, thanks for reminding. The West Indies Cricket Board is the one who is responsible for the administration and the organization of cricket in 16 countries in the Caribbean. In each country, the West Indies Cricket Board vested the interest to run the game because of the challenges we face you can't have a centralized unit because Jamaica, as you know, and for our international audiences, we have to travel by either ship or aircraft from one island to the next. It was cumbersome to administer from one central location. So they vested their authority in different places. And mind you, Trinidad was not the only place. In Guyana, there was Georgetown Cricket Club, in who that responsibility was vested. In Trinidad, it was Queen's Park Cricket Club. In Jamaica, it was Kingston Cricket Club, and there was I can't remember off the top who was the club in Jamaica. And those are the four main territories, and they vested that interest in them. And then it evolved that now in each territory, a national association now runs it. So there's more equity, there's more balance, there's more participation in each one of the territories.
Good. Now, India seems to have taken more of a vested interest in Trinidad with the accession or proposed accession of a stadium or construction and so on. Can you elaborate and let me hear your views on that?
Yeah, another stadium is an academy. Mumbai, India is partnering with the government of Trinidad and Tobago to build an academy. We need that academy badly. We need because India has done it and they know what is required to play at the highest level. They have transformed their game. In 1971, it was unthinkable for India to beat West Indies. And now, 50 years later, it's unthinkable for West Indies to beat India. So they have transformed in 50 years. I would like to see some of their professionalism, some of their resources, some of their history of how they move, how they manage difficult times to evolve, because we are in difficult times. We in the Caribbean had very little input in making West Indies cricket great. When we had the Greenwiches and Haynes and Lloyds, and the West Indies cricket didn't have a pathway. There wasn't a program that transformed these guys from what they were. That happened in England. And that was a sort of anomaly, an act of God, so to speak. So we never had a path. We never had what we did to develop then. So we still don't have one now. So if we didn't know what we did then, so there was nobody who created a playbook in how to take a cricketer from point A to point B. This thing evolved. So if we can get someone who can chart us and tell us that you need certain fitness level, you need to bat 1,000 balls a day, you need to practice so long, you need to work on these skills, and then use the modern technology of analytics of what you're doing wrong and what you're not, nutrition, diet, fitness, strength, agility. These are all measurable components that we don't do in the Caribbean. And if the academy is going to use all the technology of the world and all the resources that India has to help us, I welcome that with open arms. And I really think that could be a game changer for West Indies cricket. So I endorse it 1,000%.
Good. But do you have any issues with that academy being located in Twin City rather than Central Trinidad or somewhere else?
No, I have none. I have none. No problems with that. Once it doesn't flood, you'll have to look at proximity. You come off the airport, you're there. Because I don't see it being a Trinidad academy. That's the first thing. I see it being a West Indian academy with even a global academy. Because if you're going to put down that kind of thing, you have to do the things within the academy, like a university is a building. All right. So the programs within so let us not look at the citing of it and find that anything. I have absolutely no problem with the citing of it. It's easier to get to. It is easier for people coming in to go back out, right? So wherever it is, we have to make the best use of it. So no, I have absolutely no problem with the citing.
So I think UTT and maybe UE have academies of sports. How would that compare to this new academy that is going to be established? I think they have programs.
I hope it is incomparable because what I'm saying, I want this to be first in class,
right? So
that if we have a little Nicholas Puran, who started with my club, by the way, right? Okay. If I see a little Nicholas Puran or a little Adrian Barrett, we must be able to know how, or a little Darren Ganga, all of those who played with this little club down in Penal. We must be able to have a pathway charted to know what is the next step for each one of these guys to do, where they are in their game, and if they get up to the higher level and they have a problem, that they must be able to come back and resolve the issue and not be left on their own, So I see it even from a medical standpoint. If you have injuries and so on, I would like that facility to have somewhere that could treat our players. We are small. We are 6 million people, and how much out of that play cricket? So if you lose Adrian Barrett, or you lose a Nicholas Puran, or you lose a Chris Gale very early, or you lose a Brian Lara, you could understand that is going to have a tremendous effect and impact. But what we need to do in Trinidad is to use that to get our sport back in our communities. Sport in the communities is the real challenge we have, right? Our cricket and football and so on have in a sense, become urbanized again. And the village boy, like I used to walk from my house, next house or the next friend or next one. By the time we get to the ground, it's 15 of us, and we fix the pitch and we turn back out to play. And there was that fit, there was that camaraderie, there was that community spirit. That is sadly lacking in Trinidad. Well, urbanization and two parents working and all those challenges, but we have to find a way to get back sport, not only cricket, sport into our communities. Really, really in a big way.
And maybe the technology has contributed to that decline, because people on their phone and so on now, on their computer, they're not being more physically active.
Very much so. Very much so. Very much so. Yeah. Very much so.
So in closing, I want to ask you about yourself. How did you diverge? Because you started playing cricket, maybe as a batsman, a bowler, wicketkeeper, to be an administrator.
That evolved. When I started in the village, when the big men played, I was a scorer initially.
Oh, okay.
Right? Yeah. So probably the need for record keeping kicked in there, and I went on to play at a fairly high level. I captained the village team. There was a team in South called Flamingos, who when I came out of school at 19, in my first year there, they made me captain. And I went on from that age of 19 to fill leadership roles in most of the clubs I played in. So it fitted quite easily. And when I was still playing, Aloy Likwai, who was then the president of the cricket board, and not one of my favorite people at that time, sent a message with me that he wanted me to be involved in the administration of the game. I turned him down, But eventually he won over, and I got involved in the administration. Thanks to him and a guy called, he's now a pundit, Surendani Ram. Pundit Dani Ram was the secretary of the Trinidad and Tobago Cricket Board. Okay. He wasn't a pundit at that time, he was a school teacher. And they encouraged me, and the departed former captain Indar Manu Singh, they saw probably the leadership, and I was always encouraged from a very, very early age to pick up leadership positions that led me into the Trinidad board and as a director of the West Indies board, both of which I left voluntarily.
So are you, as a person of Indian descent, the person who has reached the highest in the administration of the West Indies Cricket Board, or were there predecessors?
No, there was Chetram Singh out of Guyana, who was a director before me. Okay. There's Dr. Alan Sami from Trinidad, who was a director before me. And now the Trinidad board president, Asim Basra, He's the
Right.
vice president of the board. So I suppose he would be the one who probably reached the highest in terms of Indo. But Chetty, when I got on the West Indies board, Chet Ramsing was very much a mentor. Chetty literally took me under his wings,
Okay.
and helped me to make that transition. You know, I think he understood the politics of the thing more than me getting in there. You know, I will always be thankful to Mr. Chet Ramsing from Guyana for that.
Yes. So in closing, what's your next step? I mean, you have reached the highest, and you see any other pathway for you to take, or this is
No,
the
no. Uh, no, when I resigned from the West Indies board, part of my letter was I want to step back from the forest and see the wood from the trees. So
Okay.
I don't live there anymore, but I am very much involved in my village in Clark Road to try and
your volume,
keep the
right?
village alive and give young cricketers. So I'm so proud of the work that we did there. You know, people like there's a doctor called Tishan Maharaj who now practices in Canada. His father is of Guyanese descent. He born and grew up in Trinidad, went to Presentation College, led the West Indies under 15 to a World Cup, played for Trinidad under 19, played for Trinidad Senior, played for West Indies, a medical doctor. Darren Ganga played for my club, and Suraj Raghunath, who played for the West Indies, played for. So we have so many success stories. Those are those that you know. But what also gives me great pleasure is that the ones that you don't know who played for the club and now holds very high positions in all kinds of different organizations and workplaces throughout the Caribbean. You know, so that gives me immense pleasure when I look back today and see where these guys are and what sport and cricket in particular, and what we were able to do as a village team. We still maintain that village camaraderie, although the village itself has lost some of its interest in the game, as you say, for other reasons, distractions. You know, so we now trying to build that back. You know.
Very good. Okay, and finally, I keep saying finally, what has your involvement in cricket done for you as a person? Maybe discipline, maybe some achievements, seeing places, meeting people. What has your involvement in cricket done for you personally?
Now, what is my involvement? I lost the volume there for a little bit. So,
what has your involvement in cricket done for you? Maybe in your own personal life?
I think for more the village than for me, it was to raise the self-esteem of the village. When you grow up in the 1960s in a village and way down in Pinal, people look down at you. And we were not able to transcend. When I passed common entrance for a school in San Fernando, you felt inferior to the boys around you, to the students around you. Cricket has given me that sense of self-esteem, which I was able to transfer to my entire team and to my entire village, so much so that we had an orchestra that came up in the village and did well. And when you hear Clark Road now, when you hear the name Clark Road now all over Trinidad, it's associated with a success story. And it's not put as another a countryside village. So I think, and we inspired, if I may say so, we inspired other villages to believe that if Clark Road could do it, we could do it. Yes. We also were the first team in Trinidad in 1985 to bring a Guyanese player to play club cricket in Trinidad, Rabindranath Seeram.
Wow. And
that started a whole transfer, if that's the right word, a whole movement of cricketers from Guyana to Trinidad from 1985 to now. It still obtains.
Great, great. So in 1 or 2 minutes, do you have any closing comments?
As I said, I would love to see. Firstly, I think there's no more discrimination in Trinidad cricket. There may still be some element of discrimination at the broader Caribbean. Yes. But I don't think I'm in a position to comment too much on that. But I can safely say that I don't think there's any discrimination in Trinidad cricket. I can safely say that cricket offers a proper pathway for young sportsmen in Trinidad to move forward. As I said, Nicholas Puran, Sunil Narayan, all these are fellas, Samuel Badri, Darren Ganga. Those who don't play, we hear their voices differently. So I don't think there's any limit to what you can achieve using sport as your vehicle.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, there you have it, a fantastic interview done by Dr. Kumar Mahabir and Mr. Baldat Mahabir. I really must say kudos to you, sir. Would you mind unmuting your mic and probably turning on your video? Thanks. So kudos to you for really putting Clark Road on the map. And I know in terms of cricket, we always think here in Central, we always praise those guys from Prisal. I mean, Ranjananan is our own, Ravi is our own, I think Dinesh is as well. So they probably learned from you what you've done down in the Southland. We have a question for you from Dr. Keshavji. MK, would you like to unmute?
One sec there. For some reason, I've lost the volume. It seems.
No, I'm hearing you. Are you hearing
Can't
me?
say why.
I'm hearing you.
So
Are you
I'm
hearing
barely
me?
hearing you. So if I take off my video, for some reason, I'm hearing you a little bit better.
Okay, sure, no problem. Are you hearing me now?
Very faintly. I don't. It may be on my end because I got a call during the transmission, and that took the volume down, and I seem unable to get it back up.
Okay, maybe you need to adjust on your device itself.
Yes, it has to be on my end. It's
Okay, so
something
let's...
on my end that seems to be the problem.
Okay, so once again, I want to say thank you very much for an exciting bit of information there, and kudos to you. Kudos to you for all that you've done in the Southland in terms of cricket. So let me bring on Dr. Mohammed Keshavji, who would like to ask a question. MK, go ahead, please.
Yeah, sure. Mr. Baldas, this is really wonderful to hear you. Tell me, as you were growing up and working with this whole area of sports, did Leary Constantine and Basil d'Oliveira have any influence on your thinking? Were they your role models as well? Because they were great cricketers as well. I think one was from Trinidad, the other one was from South Africa. Could you throw some light on that?
My goodness, I really, really have to apologize. I'm really having issues. I can barely, it's getting worse. I'm really, really sorry that, I'm really having challenges with.
Oh,
I'm really having challenges, really, and I don't know why. I've tried to fix it while we were going on, and I'm really.
Okay, so Mr. Mahabir, I want to thank you very much. I'm going to ask MK to please type your question in the group chat, and hopefully Mr. Mahabir will give us a response.
Okay.
Thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, there we have it. An interview with Mr. Baldat Mahabir that was quite holistic. Well done, Dr. Mahabir. Thank you so much. We want to move on now to our third presentation, and this is Mr. Nini Harpal from Suriname. Nini Harpal is his wrestler name. He was undefeated as a wrestler for 25 years, from 1975 until his retirement in 2000. He is really Sundar Prasad of Suriname. In 2002, he was appointed Grand Master of the Surinamese Order of the Palm, one of the highest honors awarded in that Dutch-speaking South American country. In 2016, he received the Living Legend Award from Suriname President Desi Bouterse. While in Suriname about a month ago, we had the pleasure of interviewing him personally, and we recorded it. So our Surinamese brother, Indologist Dr. Narinder Mokam Singh, who teaches at the Anton de Kom University in Suriname, helped to translate Sardnami, that is Suriname Bhojpuri Hindi, to English. So Mr. Harpal and his family are live in the audience and will hopefully take some questions later. So what we'll do is, given the time, we will run a part of that interview with you as far as we can go. So Dr. Mahabir, can we have that interview, please? So I want to say thank you very much for accommodating us at your home and giving us an opportunity to have this conversation with you.
धन्यवाद देवे कि तुम लोग के आत्मा करे
धन्यवाद वेलकम
Thank you. We did not know that we would have the privilege of meeting a Surinamese wrestler.
मैं सोच रहा कि इतना बड़ा कलाकार से भेंट करेगा
या
So I'm really interested to find out what motivated you to start wrestling.
आप बताइए पहली बात कैसे तू शुरू कर ले ये वॉर्स्टल करे
या दिस हमार फोर ऑर्डर्स हमार दादा के लड़का नेफियस सब हॉस्टल करा था
many people from his family his ancestors were in this sport
हमारे काका भी अंकल
काका uncle okay करा
ना तब हम शुरू कर ली
I see so after his kaka he took over and then many people came afterwards to wrestling
Putin, speak louder.
exactly. Okay.
So let's go back a little bit to indentureship. Do you
Let
know
me check one quick question
do you know who in your family came as indentured immigrants to Suriname?
तू जाने तो पलवार में क्या आयल हैगा कलकत्ता से
हमार नानी
नानी
Do you know Nani?
यस
Can you describe Nani to me? Was she, you are
Nani.
very tall and you are very
वो
broad.
लंबा चौड़ा रहा कैसे
ना नाटारा स्टाम्पुरा या
she was not that high but she was quite sturdy
ओकर खबर रहा आखती नाखतन ताखतर
1888 she was born
She was born here in Suriname.
नहीं ना
No.
She
of
was
course.
born in India
India
and she came across here.
या
Okay, tell me about Nana. Was Nana the big man?
मीनोशी नाना
You didn't see Nana.
मीनोशी नाना
Okay, so tell me about Nani is your mother's mother.
या
Yes. So was your mother a big, large lady or was it your father?
my father was big. My mother little tall. When my daddy family was big.
So it was from your father's side that you all became wrestlers.
Yes.
Did they start wrestling in India or was it a wrestling only in Suriname? And do you know why? Do you know why his family got involved in wrestling?
अच्छा के पलवार हिंदुस्तान में भी करत है सब चीज कि यहाँ पर आके कर रहे
Then bring out wrestling from India. That wrestling was Kusti.
कुश्ती
Kusti. That wrestling, the old system wrestling was Kusti.
इंडियन
Can you describe Kusti?
Kusti, the Indian fight Kusti. Man, no, India they fight Olympic wrestling.
True.
The rules change. When you go fight high class world in niveau पे ये
Should I
लगा.
ask you more about the कुश्ती
Yes.
अब बताइए कि कुश्तिया में कौन चीज रहा स्पेशल जो ची अपना हो गए वो यूरोपीय स्टाइल होने उस सब में कौन चीज बोलत रहा कि हार जीत उसे पता
हाँ मतलब कुश्तिया में तो कोई यो करता है कुश्तिया में तो कोई this fast technique.
So they could strangle you during kushti. That's not allowed anymore in the
Yeah.
and jaldi na as soon as pit ki laga dewe.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
as they were very fast in getting you on the floor.
जब तू ऐसे ऊपर देख ले आसमान तो पीठ है.
Already if you look upstairs upwards without getting your back on the floor then you will lose.
So did you learn Kusti as a child? Is Kusti something that your father and his brothers did and they taught you or you just learned out of fun as a child?
कोई तो किसी सिखाई से कि अपने से सीख गए खेलते खेलते देखत रहे.
हमारे नहीं लोग कुश्ती लड़ा था.
His nephews were fighting.
तो हम देखा तरी.
He watched.
ना हम गए सीखे.
He also tried.
तब हम सीखे लगली. मला तर यहाँ पर चेंज आई है वॉर्स्टल में. नीदरलैंड से बकरा लोग आए.
So when the whites arrived there from Holland, they had their rules and regulations, so they adapted to that. Learn the way of wrestling. That's what he called the European style.
So was it done only when the Dutch came here? Was wrestling done as a sport or was it done in self-defense?
स्पॉट में वो होता है चीज हुआ कि अपने के रास्ता में कपड़े लोग से एक बचावे खातिर कुश्ती सीख लो
ना स्पोर्ट में होता बड़का बड़का वेस्टेज होता स्टेडियम में यहाँ हुआ
गेम्स वर ऑर्गेनाइज्ड
या
स्पेशल गेम्स
या मतलब बकरवान सबके जीत गया रहा यही
Initially, the whites used to win when they applied their traditional styles.
तो हम लोग सीखे के शुरू कर ली
Then they
टेक्निक
started learning the styles of the
Indians,
Westerners
Westerners.
and adapted that, and then they became equal competitors in the games.
Mhm.
वन
So at 15 years old, you had your first wrestling competition.
90 years when we start 1972 we were then 90 years
You were 19 years old in 1972,
yeah
and that was your first competition.
yes
But you started to train from age 15.
15 me never fight me never wrestler now I will सीखा तो रही
It was not real fighting, he was just learning. It's
It was
basics.
learned, right.
Okay.
And who was training you?
किसी कहा था आपने?
हम शहर में सीखा था ये
स्कूल में?
कुश्तियाँ दस ओलंपिक्स वाला शहर में सीख लिया
बाकी करे लगे कहाँ पर?
है वो ब्रिज मोहन रहा
There was a guy called Brish Mohan in the city, in town. He trained them
Mhm.
to fight according to the Western rules.
Right. Was it common among 15-year-olds in this area to do that, to get involved in
यहाँ पर
wrestling?
लड़का नॉर्मल वही उम्र में शुरू करते हैं 15 साल की उम्र में.
या ऐसा तो ये हुआ था 10 बजे से शुरू
Now, yes, it's true, but now they start much earlier at around 10.
Right. But I'm just trying to get a picture of what teenagers used to do back in the 1970s here.
मांगे समझे कि तोर जमाना में तोर उम्र के लड़का टीनेज लोग उस समय में काका करते रहे.
वो सब कुश्ती लड़ रहा था सब ट्रेन कर रहा
So in his environment, of course, they were all involved in kushti training and so.
So all the men in your family at that time were involved in wrestling.
सब कोई परिवार के लड़कन करते थे कुछ कई जने रहा हूँ फिर.
ना हम जिम ऑपरेट कर ली तो गांव के लड़का ना इला ओपन करा
So when he started with the gym, then many people from the village started coming, and then of course they would wrestle also.
Right. So tell us about your first competition. You were 19 years old. Where did it take place, and
पहला
who
कुश्ती
was your
competition
opponent?
कहाँ भइला तो केकरे साथ लड़े वो?
शहर में भय रहा
The city.
फ्रेश गणपत से
Fritz Gunput.
Yeah.
Guy called Fritz Gunput. From where? From Suriname?
या
Okay.
टॉप रेसलर रहा
He
हो
was the top wrestler in Suriname.
तो ओके हम जीता ले
I defeated him.
You defeated him. So then you became the top wrestler.
या that made the competition
That was a competition.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and what was your next competition? How soon after was your
उसके
next
बाद में फिर कब
competition?
का लड़ लो फिर बड़का गेम
दुई खेला लल्ली
2
Ma-
more fights.
या माता ओपन पर हार गई
He
रही
lost on points.
एंड ओकर बाद में तब हम खेल ली
And
ओकर बाद में खेल ली तब हम चैंपियन भइली
he
नेगेटिव
became champion in 1975.
5
Oh, just 3 years after you
Yeah.
became champion in Suriname.
and make class
In my
In your class,
category.
right, in your
Okay.
category.
yeah
Okay.
So tell us about your first international competition. Where was it?
बाहर का ही कौन गेम लड़ लो पहले बाहर मतलब बोला.
औलाद में जाके ढेर खेल लिया
He had many games in the Netherlands.
ये यहाँ पर लड़ ली है यहाँ पर सुरीनाम में लड़ ली है हम इंडिया के आदमी से भी लड़ ली यहाँ
He fought here also with Indians
Mhm.
from India.
Mhm.
पर
Let's talk a little bit about the differences that you noticed between the opponents in the Netherlands and the opponents in India when you were fighting.
What do you want to know?
The differences
Ah.
between his opponents in India and his opponents in the
आप
Netherlands.
मांगे जाने उजन कुश्ती बाज रहे हैं इंडिया के और हॉलैंड के
हाँ।
उस सब में कौन फेशियल देख लो आप.
वो सब और आगे हैगा वो सब और ट्रेन
They were
करे तो
more advanced on the first place.
In Holland.
Both way, both.
Both. Yeah.
लेकिन इंडिया और हॉलैंड वाले में क्या फर्क रहा? आपके
इंडिया
नजर में?
या इंडिया वाला ये मोमेंट पे इंडिया आगे गए ढेर उस जमाना में इंडिया अब बस जाता है ऐसा ओलंपिक पहला में इंडिया ढेर जीता है वेस्ट राइट
In those days, the Indians were not that much far in the European game. Now they are. They are very, very, very far. But they still cannot tell me exactly what's the difference between the Indians and the Europeans.
In terms of technique, was there a technique
पकड़वान के
difference?
technique कैसा रहा?
सब टेक्निक वे क्या
Techniques were both were the same. It was different.
तो क्या चाहिए और कला ट्रेन करे के मेर ट्रेनर जे ज्यादा ट्रेन करे है वो जीता है तो
So who trained much? And those who were further in training, they would win. That's the game.
So you said that you did not go to Trinidad to fight. There were no championships or any competitions that you went to Trinidad
Trinidad
for.
right now, Trinidad.
ट्रेनर में फ्री स्टाइल व्यवस्था वो अमेरिकन से व्यवस्था
Many things were happening in Trinidad,
Yeah.
but they were free wrestling,
Freestyle.
freestyle,
Yeah.
and that's what-
W wrestling
WWF.
WWF. Right.
So he is not interested in that kind.
You were not interested in WWF because why not? Why were you not interested in the freestyle?
no आई हम जाती हूँ वहाँ पर
He would like to go, but
या हमारा फ्लाइट कैंसिल हो गया रहा
flights were
प्रमोटर कैंसिल हो गया
promoter cancelled.
जब हम जाती है वो मतलब कि वो वहाँ पर वो ओवर सब हो
So
गया
there was a plan. There was an idea at one point,
Mhm.
but it was cancelled by.
Okay, earlier you were explaining to me what is the difference between freestyle wrestling and Olympic wrestling. You said that you did Olympic style wrestling, correct?
Yeah.
Can you please explain again what's the difference between Olympic style wrestling and freestyle wrestling?
फिर उमांगे सुने आपसे कौन सी है?
Yeah,
The base of freestyle.
freestyle Olympic wrestling is okay बोले touch पर तो
You said you can. You can win when you get somebody on his back.
yeah
Okay.
वो
Freestyle में
freestyle में ना
it does not matter.
yeah freestyle
Freestyle में कब जीते ये? कब जीते freestyle?
when
When they hit 3 times.
या वो प्रमोटरों बस दिल कर रहा है
So there are no rules. The promoters decide who will win.
वो सब बपाल करके जीती
Okay.
के
It's not. the
So
way-
it's not real, it's not pure technique.
Yes.
it's pure technique it's show wrestler वो promoter बपाल है
The promoters, the sponsors decide who's going to win.
And that is decided before the match.
Yes. आगे पता लग जाता.
So earlier you said, and I just want to confirm for our audience, that you think freestyle wrestling was 75% technique, 25% showmanship. Fake.
yeah
While Olympic wrestling is 100% technique.
technique
Right. So when you were wrestling, you started in the 1970s. How long did your wrestling career continue?
एक कुश्तीबाजी से शुरू कर लो कितना दिन तक कर ले कई बार.
75 से 2000 हम onverslagen kampioen release naam क्या
He was unbeaten in Suriname champion
25 years
from 75 till 2000. In Suriname he was not beaten. Okay.
तब वही से काम के इतना जबरदस्त नाम है वहाँ हम देर ट्रेन कर दी
So in those days, that's why he became so famous because he was training a lot.
सवेरे 4 बजे जाग के ट्रेन
He
कर
would
दी
wake up at 4.
4 o'clock in the morning maybe exercise me go up come back then me exercise with them boys every day maybe exercise 5 hours so
May I ask you something?
Yes.
When you began, what kind of school did you have? Traditional Indian style with mudgar, and what kind of training did you give? Push-ups or running? You tell something about that, and how did you change that later on?
भोपाल द ओपनिंग हम लोग ले ले रही इंडियन
So initially they took the first the trainings, the techniques from the Indians.
ये शायद बोला ये शायद डंडक के बोला है क्या स्टॉप साइफर डंडक डिपर बैठ का जब कुश्ती में हुफ ट्रेनिंग है बैठक
So
डिपर
pushing ups and sitting while you have to jump up.
So
Sitting techniques. They call baitak
बैठक
and gatkana.
yeah that's डिपर Tautraka.
Pulling strings.
Yeah.
Or optrekken. Halter.
Yeah.
Pulling up and lifting weights.
Yeah.
Halter, lifting weights.
Lifting weights.
Yeah, that left.
And you said you would walk in the mornings.
Yeah, when we finish,
It's speed walking.
we were the driver. There's conjugal हम काम करेगा.
ना पूछेगा थोड़ा दौड़ा तुरंत आप लोग.
Yeah.
They also did running and walking.
Running and walking.
Yeah.
But why I would like to know that you have the Indians mudgar.
Mudgar, we know Mudgar.
Not it was not popular. He knows what it is, but it was not used. In India, the wrestling schools, they use that kind of techniques to build up
the muscles. Yeah.
But here they have
Mudgar is a
heavy piece of
log.
But
like a gada.
Gada. The Hindus have the gadas.
Me have one gada.
You have gada.
It's a mace, what they call a mace.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mace. Yeah.
So, but then they have other things here in the West, like the lift up things.
The weights.
The instruments are different here, so
Yes.
they adapted. Tika, you can continue. If you have something.
So, food.
कैसे
Tell us
खा रहे
what
आप
you
लोग?
ate.
जबर हुए खाते.
Normal either.
Just normal food.
Machri, fish, there 1 pound goes, 1 pound machri.
1 pound, half kg of fish, half kg of meat.
Half kg of fish and half kg of meat, like goat.
Which meat? Where
Okay.
Murgi. Which meat? Anything. So this daily, every day?
Every day, ma hafta mein 2 am vegetarian bati tha.
He is vegetarian 2 days a week.
Right. But you ate a lot of meat, heavy protein.
Yeah, protein.
And what about eggs?
Egg too.
How much eggs
Milk.
did you have?
2-3 egg one day. 1 liter दूध.
1 liter of
1 liter milk.
Yeah.
Eggs.
And this is milk straight from the cow?
Yeah. Me baby ka. There's some guy hum log
He
kara.
was keeping cows.
You had cows, so you used to go and milk your own cow.
Yeah.
Did you boil the milk first, or did you just drink it straight from the cow?
Boil.
Boil the milk, right.
अब 2-3 रकम के भाजी.
2-3 types of vegetables.
2-3 types of sabzi.
Yeah.
Dal to khawat raha hai.
Dal.
Dal?
Dal is good. Dal is good.
I like dal.
Kachuk guy, आप लोग दही बनाओ तरह भी.
हाँ दही बनता.
अच्छा.
Dahi. Yes.
Yogurt.
So a typical breakfast. After you went and you had breakfast before you exercise or after you exercise?
जो रोज कुश्ती रहा सवेरे खाते रहो कि ना?
Yeah, that's normal दिन के खातरी. मार 2 घंटा exercise के पहले ना खातरी.
They would eat normal, but before exercise, they wouldn't eat for 2 hours.
Before.
Right. So you're exercising basically on an empty stomach.
फिर खाली पेट से ऊपर करते रहते.
Yeah.
और कुश्ती
कुश्ती
से पहले खवात रहा कि ना?
हाँ हम लोग खा लेते हैं.
They used to eat also before the
No, my
kushti, but
this
of
जब
course
व्यस्त इधर रहता तो 3-4 घंटा ना चाहिए खाई के तो
2-3 hours before.
2-3 hours
They wouldn't
before.
eat. Of course they
Right.
wouldn't.
So your day would have started what hour? What time?
क्या भाई उठते रहे आप लोग?
4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. When we exercise, then maybe 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So your typical breakfast, was there any roti?
ब्रेक ऑन बेड में रोटी ले उतरो कि कौन सी खाते रहा? भात की चावल कौन सी की रोटी?
संध्या का मेस्ता रोटी.
रोटी in the evening, afternoon,
सवेरे ब्रेड रहा और भात खाते रही हम लोग 1 बजे.
In the morning time they had bread, na?
bread.
And for lunch it was rice. In the evening it was roti.
Roti.
Ah.
Right. So, there's a health consciousness now that says that you should not have the roti because it contributes to diabetes. You should not have the bread because that too, because of the flour, contributes to diabetes and so on. Did you eat maida or atta?
So पूछे तो लोग आटा खाते रहे कि मैदा कि पिसान को. This I should help him out.
Yeah.
We don't have atta here in the first place. Everybody ate pisan, this maida, because it was considered luxury. So, and the atta was not available. So simple as that. So you had no choice.
Yeah. You ate
So
what there was.
roti raha, तो बनत रहा मैदा के पिसान. अब पूछे आटा कहाँ मिलत रहा? So he's confirming there's no atta here.
No atta here. And it was typical white rice.
Yeah, when you exercise, ये प्रॉब्लम ना है कि हम लोग फेंक अरे वो बात ये कई बार क्या बोला है.
Yes, when you wrestle, you don't talk about having diabetes or not. You eat what you are used to. And wait a minute, but you are interested in other kind of rice.
Yeah.
दूसरा रकम के चावल रहा.
ना हम लोग normal.
There was just one kind of rice available.
And beans.
Or
Yeah, the super yaki rata.
That was always there. There was always variation in
Variations
the
in
lentils, brown beans.
Tell us about sugar. Did you consume a lot of sugar? Did you eat a lot of fruits? How much sugar did you take? Did you add sugar to your milk?
सब खाइत में पियत चाय कॉफी दूध में शुक्र डालते हैं आप.
हाँ, हम खिलाते ही तो डालते ही.
When he was playing,
Yeah.
wrestling them. So you have no sugar problem?
No.
No, good.
No.
You have any health problems?
Arthritis?
When we pass 65, fans has to pass really.
Past 65,
तब हम problem.
get some troubles.
What kind of troubles?
Sugar और
And high blood pressure.
हाँ,
High blood pressure. Yeah. What about your heart?
it's good.
It's good.
Good. What about arthritis? No problem?
So arthritis means clogging of the...
No, arthritis is the joint pains. Pain in the joints. And
Yeah, your joints got you.
got it problem.
Yeah, problem.
problems there.
Yeah.
They hurt.
Yeah, that's when you exercise too heavy.
Yeah. It had
We
effects.
were squat about over the 200 kilo.
Over 200 kilos. So there's a lot of pressure on the legs
Yeah.
and the knees
So you...
and the ankles.
Yeah,
Yes.
everything got you to Pira. Yeah,
So you are 71 now, you said.
yeah.
How often do you exercise and what form of exercise do you take now?
आजकल भी कुछ करे exercise.
Helemaal weinig.
Very little. Very,
Very
very
little.
Why?
Me feel so tired.
You're tired.
If those had to vermogen na, कैसे
There
बोला?
is no stamina to continue exercising. It gets tired very
Yeah.
fast.
How has your diet changed now that you are 71? How has the food changed? Have you continued to eat the way you used to, or is it different?
कब भोजन वही रह गया है पहले वाला कि बदल गया था पसंद है के कारण.
शुक्र एकदम छोड़ दिया.
Stop with sugar or
और
completely.
फास्ट फूड उतना
Doesn't you take fast food? Nimak?
नीमक नॉर्मल है.
It just takes normal salt.
Normal namak. Normal namaks.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about things like ginger and turmeric, saffron, haldi? Do you use haldi often?
Camber, hardi urdi खबर.
Yeah.
What about when you were wrestling? I mean,
उस जमाना
after a match, did you have any kind of special things that you will drink or anything so that you will be able to come back to a sense of normalcy with your muscles and help
जमाना
with
में जब
more
कुश्ती
healing?
करके आप लोग खड़े होते हो तो कुछ कुछ खास चीज खावत रहे या देखिए लगावत रहो से कोई बोले गोपाल का तेल लगाइए
ना 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 कुछ
nothing
नहीं
like that nothing like that
हम लोग गुंती रिलीव ऊपर करेंगे तो जब फर्स्ट हो जाता तब या तो तेल और लगावती
only when they got some injuries then they would apply some oil or whatever.
So you would be massaged when you got injuries with oil.
Yeah.
Who would do the massaging?
Massage करता
Now I'm looking at massage though. This massage I'm looking at.
They had a lot of guys who did that massage, did the massage.
Right.
So they knew probably what they were doing.
Yeah. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. An interesting conversation with Mr. Nini Harpal, who is here with us still in the audience. Mr. Harpal, would you mind unmuting your mic and perhaps showing yourself on video? Some very interesting information there, comparisons between wrestling in India and in Suriname. And I'm seeing Robbie making a comment. He says India and Pakistan have big wrestling competitions where the competitors hit or slap each other's chests. It will be good to reintroduce this in the diaspora to remove the perception that the Indian male, especially in the diaspora, is weak, which is far from the truth. Also, kabaddi was tried at the university and by some Hindu groups and temples, but with limited success in Trinidad. So yeah, so we had conversations with Sheila Sivalak from Mauritius, who was in track and field, a winner in her own right and a champion. We had a conversation with Valdat Mahabir, a cricketer and cricket administrator from Trinidad and Tobago, commenting on the state of cricket as well as his own life experience. And we had Mr. Nini Harpal, champion wrestler from Suriname. I'm not seeing any raised hands, and so I wonder whether there are any questions. At this time, Ms. Sibalak has left us. Oh no, she's still here. Yeah, I see you. I'm sorry. She's still here. Mr. Harpal is, I'm seeing him, but not his video. So I'm not too sure if he is prepared to take a question. But Rehana, your hand is up. So let's hear what you have to say. Can you unmute your mic?
Sorry. Can I see Mr. Harpal? Is he here?
Sure. He's here, but I'm trying to get him to unmute the mic. I'm hoping someone is with him to assist him to do that.
He's not unmuting himself.
No, he's not unmuting. What would you like to say though, Rehana?
I don't know if he can recall who I am. I am my father. He used to organize the events also. He was a sportsman and he wrestled himself, but he loved organizing these events. So
Well, I'm not getting a response from Mr. Harpal, but I see Ahmad Jagbandan is saying in the Netherlands in the 60s, there was also a great wrestler from Surinamese Indian descent. He was Ashok Jagbandan. Does that name ring a bell, Rehana? He was champion of the southern part of the Netherlands.
I have to ask my mom then because she might know, but
Mr. Harpal is here.
Yeah.
But he has to unmute.
Yeah. Can we have Mr. Harpal unmuted, please? I'm seeing the video on, but we're not going to.
Mr. Harpal, u moet uw microfoon aanzetten. U heeft een streepje erover, daar moet u even op klikken, want we horen u anders niet. Kunt u dat doen? Ja, dat is goed. Oké, dan heeft u links is er een microfoon en daar moet u op klikken. Rood in het rood. Ziet u dat? Aan de linkerkant. Dus ook op uw laptop. Als u daarop klikt, dan kunnen we u horen.
Try Sarnami, not Dutch.
Yes. कुछ ना सुना हैगा जो नीचवा लिंकर कंतिया नीचवा एगो microfoon बा ऊपर क्लिक कर तो geluid आएगा ऐसे geluid ना आएगा कुछ ना सुना है ना लिखो हैगा ना लाओ में एगो microfoon बा तो ऊपर druk करिए of कंप्यूटर के नीचवा लिंकर काम लिखल हैगा ऑडियो ऊपर druk कर सके हैगा
I think she's using a cell phone.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Bent u met uw telefoon aan het kijken? Oh, yes, it's a cell phone. Oh my
So,
God.
okay. Well, Kishavi, ask your question.
Yeah, I don't have a question. I have a comment to make. I said that is there any possibility that we can use these great sports people as role models for our younger men and women to see, to increase their self-esteem? Because sports is a vigorous activity.
Good.
And is there any potential in having a program with younger people in the future, seeing these people as icons, as inspiration? That's just a comment. I mean,
And it's a very good one, MK. And we know from Mr. Harpal that he runs a gym at his home. And that gym, Noor, can you just add here, please? You went and you saw the gym, you saw the equipment in the gym, and Mr. Harpal was able to explain to us that he has youths from the area coming to train at his gym. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. He still has a gym which is managed by his son.
So he is indeed trying to help the youth through that and mentor them at the same time. Ms. Sibalak, let's hear from you. How are youths in your country benefiting from your experience and expertise? Would you like to unmute?
Yes, okay. Thank you. Yes, I have, as I've said, I had the opportunity to be the chief executive officer, and I have been able to, through this organism, to benefit from, be able to help them in various aspects, like I said, education, and also training them for academic purposes. But for the time being, I still do help from time to time youngsters in my area, but not all the time. And I have also from time to time do talks in some aspects of sports when I'm invited, especially for the youth. And as I said, I do train at the high level sports and go and train there. So I also have interaction with young people who are always asking for questions and whom I still try to help at my best.
Excellent. And what about your children? I remember you said that you had a daughter. Is she also in athletics?
No, unfortunately, no. I have a daughter, but she chose a completely different route. When she finished her master's degrees, she decided she wanted to be a model. It was much more interesting for her. So it's two completely different things. Yes.
Interesting. Interesting. Mr. Jagbandan, welcome.
Yes, how are you all?
Good, thank you. Would you like to make a comment to Mr. Harpal? He can probably hear you, so perhaps you want to speak in Sarnami if possible.
अच्छा कोशिश करेगा मैंने हरपाल तो सेल फोन पर लेगेट कार्ड में नीचे एक छोटा चीन एक छोटा टेकन है जैसे एक मिक्रोफोन या और एक लाल थ्रेपी है ओके तो ओके दबाव के चारी या उकनोकवा तो ओके दबाव के चारी समझे ओके वो हमारा बात ना तो हमारा बात सुने सुन सके हेलो
Even if he, Mr. Jagbandan, even if he understood you, he's trying to respond, but his mic is still muted, and we've tried, or Rahana has tried to get him to unmute, but I don't think they can unmute with the device. It's unfortunate.
What I will do is I will check in the phone directory if I can find family Harpal in the phone directory and call. Maybe I can reach them by phone.
We can send you, yeah, we can share his number with you, and you can call him up and you can chat with him. That would be very nice.
Okay, what's the phone number?
Dr. Mahabir?
Yes, I will send it to him. I have Atma's phone.
Yeah. So Dr. Mahabir will link you all. We are at 5:12 right now, so we've gone over our time by 12 minutes. So certainly we will share Mr. Harpal's name and number with you, and then you all can chat on a private basis if that's okay.
I think Robbie has a question. Short.
Robbie, did you have a question?
Yeah, when I visited the Indian Museum in Waterloo, there was a mukdar or a mace that was used by Bade Sagar Maharaj to do his training. I wanted to ask Mr. Harpal if they were contemporaries or if he knew of Bade's, and if that wrestling I don't know when it stopped in Trinidad. It's quite a popular sport I know back probably in the I'm not sure what year, so I don't know quote any years in particular. What I noticed today with sport, and especially Indian people, there's a lot of potential with Indian children and with youths, but because of alcohol, it doesn't take them very far. Alcohol, when mixed with sport, and even like potential cricketers, I know the guy was speaking, I came in a bit late about cricket and that sort of thing. Me personally know of a lot of people who would be potential national or Caribbean or world athletes, and alcohol caused them to not be able to go very far. And even today, I mean, we have the gyms. I would say most of the members in gyms are Indian people. Very strange. But there's no competition. There's no competitions. The few competitions was there was this grocery supermarket chain called Passage, and they had a strongman competition. And believe it or not, when I went there, I saw the students and they were preparing for these programs. And most of the winners of the strongman competition run by an Indian-based supermarket chain called Passage was being won by Indian people. So if these businessmen run these competitions, it will go very far to inspire not only the Indian people but all Trinidadians and all people. Because the perception is there that Indians are weak, which is far from the truth. I mean, I come from a family of very, very strong Indians and strong alcohol drinkers, right? So it has gone against us. So this is something I want to if we ever in contact with the business community, run these competitions and you will be amazed to see the results.
So
all right.
So the strongman competition held by Passage, was it down south?
It was in Point Fortin and it was aimed to attract the demographic there is more African, but the Indians went there and they were winning out everything. So it was just amazing to see that. I'll give you a little joke. So I was walking and I mashed this guy foot, an African guy foot, and he made a comment to me, say, boy, this Indian all mash my foot, so I know which one all the Indian strong and which one all the Indian weak. So I just taken my mash, right? I just taken my mash. Right? And the man telling me that ordinarily a person would have gotten a little vexed at your mash his foot, but this is the comment he made. He said that I don't know which one all the Indian strong and which one all the Indian weak, so I just taken my mash. So it was really good for the morale of the Indian, and it was inspiring the Africans well to train harder. So this is something that is good for the nation. to have these competitions. So I want to encourage it more with the business community.
Right. So I suppose then we're going to have to talk about the economics of sports, because certainly if it is that you are competing and you are like Sheila Sibalak would have had to do, you make some choices at some point later on in life. So yeah, I want to thank everyone for being here today. I want to thank our speakers, Ms. Sheila Sibalak, Baldat Mahabir, and of course the wrestler, Mr. Nini Harpal, for being fantastic and for sharing your life stories and your expertise with us. We really are very, very honored that you would take the time to share with us. So thank you very much. And to members of the audience, it's been a pleasure. We look forward to seeing you all next week, same time, same virtual space, when we'll be discussing another program. And today is the 25th of August. So we should be having our elders program next week. Thank you all. Shakira, please take over.
Thank you, Shalama. And we want to thank everyone for taking the time to attend and also to participate. We cannot thank you all enough. As we said earlier, this public meeting is being hosted by the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center, and today we have been pleased to be supported by Brenda Gopi Singh, a business entrepreneur and founding member of the Hindu Women's Organization of Trinidad and Tobago. And you can feel free to contact the ICC to publish your books and reports. Remember, we are kindly asking for you to give us your suggestions. If you give a donation, your name will be placed on our poster and all promotional materials, and you can contact Dr. Mahabir for details. Our topic next Sunday will be the continuation of our series on live conversations with Indian elders. We want to thank our advisory and planning team led by Dr. Kumar Mahabir, our IT consultant, Daryl Grantham and Navin Mangal, who has been advising on recording the program and will upload it to our website and to YouTube permanently for posterity. To Daryl again for designing the poster, and Ravin Ram Singh for doing the social media marketing, and Miriam Mohammed for producing our TikTok videos. So please visit, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to see all our past recordings. I am Shakira Mohammed from Trinidad and Tobago saying goodbye. May God bless you all. Dhanyavad.